Hey, this is Dr. Cadwell, and there's a lot of myths associated with weight loss. So one thing I want to do is try to clear up myths as they start coming in. A lot of people ask questions about things that they think are real or that they have to do in order to lose weight, and the reality is a lot of those things truly are myths. And so we're going to take time to cover those myths. You can check back to this location here periodically as we update those myths. Interesting, I started with 5, then it grew to 10. Then it became 15, and it's grown from there. So I'm going to cover these myths, and hopefully it helps you. So check in frequently. Okay, myth number one, the most common one we hear is you have to exercise in order to lose weight. How many of you out there are actually doing that and you're not getting any results? Listen, it's not that exercise isn't important. It's not a piece of the puzzle in terms of promoting good health and well-being and all those sorts of things. But the reality is that if you are living in a body that's had challenges with weight loss or health issues or whatever it may be, exercise may actually increase those hormones of stress and be counterproductive for you. In other words, not promote the result that you actually want. So in those particular cases, we have to look at reducing exercise, believe it or not, and working towards getting the body into a better state of balance and a better state of function. When you exercise, you actually increase the hormones of stress, and those common hormones of stress, one of them is going to be cortisol. And so when you do that, it can start to create fat storage, believe it or not. So if you're one of those people out there that thinks, I've got to go to the gym every day and work out for 2 hours, hire a trainer and do all those things, it may not be appropriate for you right now. In the future, it will be way more productive for you once we get things working correctly and appropriately for you and your body. So hopefully that helps. Myth number 2, you have to restrict calories in order to lose weight. This is a big myth as well, and this often goes with myth number 1, which is of course exercise and eat less calories. In other words, burn more than you bring in. Once again, many people out there are on reduced calorie diets and they're not losing a pound. And there's a lot of reasons for that. So if we're going to talk about calorie restriction, we need to support the body appropriately in order to get things to happen physiologically that are going to help to promote this process or this state of what we refer to as fat burning and ultimately stimulate healing within the body. When you restrict calories, many times people are restricting calories by eating the wrong foods, low calorie, 0 calorie type foods, or they're bringing in calories that just are not nutrient dense for the body, that are promoted as being low calorie. So be careful with this one. Simply restricting your calories is certainly not the answer in terms of you losing weight. So if you're going to do a restricted or a lower calorie type plan, there's got to be other things going on to support the body. Myth number 3, all calories are created equal. In other words, if you are a calorie counter or you are following this idea that restricting your calories is the right thing to do, or to burn more calories than you bring in, and you're not watching the types of calories that you are consuming, you're most likely getting yourself in trouble. It's been estimated that about 70% of the calories that the average American brings in are from things that we would refer to as dietary crack, or non-nutrient food, essentially food that has no nutritional value to the body, things that we call empty calories, or things that we call dead food. And dead food is not something that you want to bring into a living body that needs nutrients in order to support its functions and in order to support its health and its well-being. So be careful. Just because something says 0 calorie or low calorie, you want to know where are the primary calories from and what ultimately, or how ultimately, are those calories either inhibiting or contributing to my health or my weight loss. So be careful. Not all calories are created equal. Hey, in addition to myth number 3 that I want to add in is that this idea that not all calories are created equal is absolutely true. A lot of people, when they bring in these non-nutrient dense foods, are actually consuming foods that have high glycemic loads or an increased glycemic index. In other words, they're going to spike insulin within the body. And when that happens, it actually starts to, over time, create a couple of challenges. One is it starts to contribute to insulin resistance within the body, which leads to a whole plethora of health challenges, one being sugar dysregulation, ultimately which becomes prediabetes and diabetes. But insulin resistance is also a big thing that's associated with many health challenges. Now, when the body is subjected to these low-calorie or non-nutrient dense foods, it's going to obviously increase sugar within the bloodstream. The insulin's going to be kicked out. And while insulin is working, it's going to take that sugar, and when it doesn't need it or when it's not utilizing that extra sugar, it's actually going to store it. And how it's going to store it is fat. And that's one thing that people don't understand. The other thing is that if you think about breakfast and how most people start their day, that they start with a high sugar or high carbohydrate type food, and one of the hormones that elevates in the morning is called cortisol, and when you mix cortisol and insulin together, it really creates this perfect recipe for fat storage in the body. So you want to, once again, be very, very careful about thinking that all calories are created equal if you're a calorie counter. Stay away from those that elevate sugars and ultimately insulin.